Good evening and welcome to a special Cup Match edition of Motion to Adjourn. And today we have not one but two living legends who are going to speak about the history of Cup Match, their personal involvement in Cup Match, and where they see the game, this greatest game evolve into. And without further ado, I bring on my first guest, the Honorable Mr. Randy K. Horton.
Hi, how you doing, sir, Mister?
How you doing, Mr. Horton?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Thanks very much for asking me to come on. I'm certainly happy to be here because Cup Match is very, very dear to my heart,
Mm-hmm.
and particularly around this time. If you ask me to do anything to do with Cup Match, then certainly you're going to find me jumping up and doing the best I can for you.
Well, I
So
think I think that is what you would call you're on that statesman level when it comes to Cup Match and politics. So you can without overtly being biased, you can give us these things. You could tell us, give us direction, you know, and say, well, in 19 so and so, and you give us historic context, and remember, stay on the line and length,
right. But thank you for those kind words. I hope I can adhere to them. I hope that once we finish tonight, that you wouldn't be able to say anything different about me. So
and, I think
yeah,
today's proceedings will go quite well.
uh,
So, without further ado, as the audience can see today, the viewing audience, we're online. They can clearly see the colors that you have on, and they can clearly see the colors that I have on. So,
yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
I think we've declared our interest very early.
Yes. But these are the only colors I know of, particularly when July and August come around, and when
Okay.
the Cup Match. Yeah.
You don't want to get caught in slips wearing anything else.
No, sir. No, sir. So I'm going to talk a bit about the evolution of the cup match and the fact that cup matches, and it's important for all to know the cup match is deeply rooted in the emancipation of slavery. And so emancipation, as most people know, took place on August the 1st, 1834. And on August the 1st, 1835, um, we celebrated the former slaves celebrated that day, August the 1st, 1835. And in fact, those that had jobs didn't go to work, and they celebrated emancipation. And we'll talk about that later too, because that impacted on the fact that this became, in the end, a public holiday.
Hmm.
But upon emancipation, former slaves, they had no homes, they had no shops, no jobs, they were voteless, they were landless. And what happened was that the freed slaves, they formed themselves into friendly societies and lodges. And they did that in order to provide their own infrastructure. And as we move along, the societies and lodges, they spearheaded the annual observances that took place on the historic August the 1st. The annual observances were really spearheaded by those lodges and societies. Initially, there were parades and divine services, and then it shifted to religious and cultural events and sports. With the annual cricket matches come picnics involving the lodges. And I tell you, not surprisingly, the best cricketers came from Somerset, um, and St. George's, right? And St. George's. And the reason for that was the fact that we had in St. George's, you had the garrison there, and in Somerset, you had the Royal Naval Dockyard. So when the British were here, playing cricket, and our St. George's and Somerset men, honed their skills playing cricket. So that's why Somerset and St. George's, during those days were thought to have the better cricketers. And so we saw that there was a lodge in St. George's and Somerset. There were lodges in St. George's and Somerset, and the Grand United Order of Odd Fellows, to which most influential black men joined during that time. They established the tradition of a friendly cricket match to celebrate the Emancipation Day. And then in 1901, there was the game that they played in 1901 was so exciting that at the end of it, they said that look, we've got to make this an annual event, an official event, and we've got to play for a trophy. So the lodges apparently encouraged the Somerset Cricket Club and the St. George's Cricket Club to be the organizers of the event. The suggestion was made. They met down in Market Square in St. George's. I don't know why they met in St. George's and not in Somerset, but that's where they met. And the decision was made down there to go to the UK. They got a trophy that cost something like 21 guineas, I believe. Brought it back, and they organized to have the first games in 1902. In 1902, there were 3 games played in 1902. The first one in Somerset, which St. George's thrashed Somerset in the first game up Somerset.
Sorry. Little internet drop. Can you say that again, please?
I'm okay saying that. I'm okay saying that. St. George's thrashed Somerset in the first game in June of 1902, and then the second game in 1902 was played in St. George's, and Somerset whipped St. George's, and then the game came back to and the third game, rather, which was in Somerset, ended in a draw because there were some issues that took place, and the game never finished. They say the players didn't really behave themselves, so the game was abandoned, and so Somerset had the cup, and so they ended with the cup. And the decision also was made in the rules that the game would be played on the home of the team that has the cup. And so in 1903, the game was played in Somerset. And they played, the team that won kept the game each year all the way up until 1943. And in 43, they went to every 2 years. And that happened because, Cup Match is a way also to make a few dollars for the clubs that host the game. And so during those years, of course, Allan Douglas wouldn't know anything about that because he played on a team that was always winning. But during those days, Somerset, were winning most of the games, and so most of the games were being played in Somerset, and it was decided, hey, that's not right, and the games should be played every 2 years, of course. But if the team that if the match is played in Somerset in the first year and St. George's win, it'll go straight back to St. George's. But if they didn't win, it stayed in Somerset for 2 years and then went on to St. George's. And this carried on all the way until 94. And in 1994, it was made a year about. And that was, I think, 1994 was made a year about because what was Somerset been in a lockdown, Mandus? Or I mean, brother Doug.
94? No, you still
Yeah,
weren't winning a lot. I
not
remember
yet.
79 distinctly more than anything, but
Yeah.
94, I don't think so.
No. But I think it's important though that we let people know the importance for us to continue to reaffirm really our admiration and respect for for those highly motivated men who in 1902 laid a solid foundation for generations to come for people to keep the faith in their with their ancestors. So it was such a solid foundation that was set by those men in that day, and it's led to what we have today. And it's important for our people to never forget that, and the players especially, not to forget that. And so it was so important that it became a 2-day holiday in 1947. And again, that came because of the people, because people didn't go to work. The people wouldn't go to work on August the 1st. They said that's their holiday, and they forced the government of the day to make it a 2-day holiday, and it was Cup Match holiday. And then we came up to the first day was Cup Match, and then the second day they were calling it Summers Day after Sir George Summers, who supposedly landed in St. George's. And then in 1909, they changed the day to Emancipation Day, the first day Emancipation Day, and the second day Summers Day. And just recently in 2020 was when the second day was changed to Mary Prince Day. So we now have Emancipation Cup Match holiday is Emancipation Day, the first day, and Mary Prince Day, the second day. But I think that, I think it's very important for all of us to remember the connect and the real reason why and how this game came about.
All right, and thank you for setting the as it would be the field, Mr. Speaker. And now I bring in someone else who has quite an extensive knowledge of history of cup match, not just the game itself, but more the ethos behind it. And without further ado, I present a living legend from the East, Cleveland County, and St. George's Cricket Club, and Bermuda national team, my cousin, Allan Douglas. Sir Allan Douglas.
Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Good day to you, Mr. Horton.
Yes, sir. Nice to see you.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I certainly don't have the wealth of knowledge of the history as Mr. Horton does. I certainly don't have that. He touched on a few things that I made note of that I found very interesting. The question I want to ask, and if Mr. Horton can help, is how much the lodges are they involved today? I don't think so. Do we recognize them? Do they get involved anyway?
Yeah, well, what happens, Allan, there's each year now, the lodges have a function after Cup Match where they they honor the outstanding player of the match. I'm not sure, I can't say off the top of my head the name of the lodge, but the lodges and it's led by oh goodness, the name won't come to me now. But yeah, it's so the lodges have connected with the clubs and have this event each year after Cup Match. And I've been where they have the best player. They give a trophy for attitude and just and keeping players knowledgeable about the role that the lodges played in seeing the cup match continue.
It's interesting that it's after Cup Match because, like I say, not much people know about it. I would think that we can try. I'm thinking during Cup Match, right at the presentation, get it done quickly and get it in there because I think we'd lose the significance of the value of this competition if we don't include the people that the founders, the ones that actually made this happen. Because if you have it too far after Cup Match, it's just my thoughts as I'm thinking right now.
No, they do it. They do it right after. I think they do it. Close to Cup Match. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But I think we should highlight that more. I think I'll research some more of that so that while I'm commentating Cup Match, I can have a bit more information on that and I'll talk to you about that offline.
Right.
Anyway, so more people, because one of the things that happened, I don't think we really know much history when we go out there to play of this cup match and why it started and why people refuse to go back to work because of the holiday and they forced the hand of the government and what the what the lodges did. And I think again, I'm thinking of making this game a bit more exciting, giving people purpose to play. Uh, so if we can sort of educate more, so I think I'm in prime position to be able to help that through the position I sit, when I commentate over those 2 days.
Yeah. Well, I can certainly say that, Alan, to be quite frank, I didn't know much about it until I started to commentate, and that's when I started to dig into more into the history of the game, and that certainly helped me provide information to the listeners during the time that I was commentating. So yeah, it's important, I
Yeah,
think, to bring that color to it. Obviously, the
yeah,
game, we're there to watch the game, and when you're commentating, you commentate on the game. But I think it's important while the game is going on to be able to have pass on bits of
exactly,
information during
exactly.
the day. Yeah.
So I would make it my business to do that. Now, the other thing that you brought up, which I found it interesting, and how would it impact the game today? When it was, you had 2 years at each club. If you drew, you cap it. If you lost it, and it went back to the other club. Now, when you think of the game today, and I'm thinking purely as where I sit, in the Bermuda Cricket Board, high performance chairman and such like that. If we, if the club decided to go back to that, I think it would make the team betting, or the team that doesn't have the cup, or have the cup, really work hard not to lose it. Like today, even the county cup that went this week, we
Hmm.
didn't have an opportunity to draw, but it was like an L or W. That's the terminology today, an L or W. You win or you lose only. But there's a D in there, and there's a draw, and it's a such thing as an honorable draw. It's such thing as a hard fought draw.
Right.
So I wonder if they looked at it as like, I'm going to really fight tooth and nail to draw this match. Then I think it will add another element of a great skill to the game instead of just saying, well, I'm going to lose anyway. I take the cup instead of trying to say, no, I'm going to get an honorable draw. So that might be something to throw about. I don't see it happening, but
Yeah.
it's something to think about.
Yeah, but Alan, I
Because,
think I think that that whoever's leading those teams, whether managing the teams or preparing those teams, then I think they have to be prepared to always be given that 2,000% that we talk about,
yeah,
and so that they go out there, no matter when it is or where it is, they're going out there to try and win the match. Or, Alan, also, like you say, there are honorable draws.
yeah,
If you go in, you find your team is in trouble, and if you're able to get in there and dig in and save them from getting the L, then you've done something too.
it
Uh,
is. Yeah,
so
yeah,
um, I think the move, when it was too about the challenge was, and I think what was happening was when we were having, remember, we had all those draws, Alan. I think in the 70s,
the
I think in
70s.
the
Yeah,
70s there were only two victories.
yeah,
St. George's won in 75, and Somerset won in 79. That was
79. Right.
the only two victories in the 70s,
Hmm.
and lots of draws, and so that's when they decided it was because of that. They said, well, hey, let's go year above, because we find also, Alan, that sometimes teams, if we were coming to Somerset in the first year, that old Somerset was doing was going to try and say, hey, we're going to make sure, first of all, that we draw.
Yeah, yeah.
First of all, that we draw. When really the approach should be, I'm going out there to win.
Right, right, right. Right. So I suppose you could look at it from both angles,
Yeah.
but I would still like to see, St. George's. And I believe this year they are in prime position. I don't see them being rolled over like the last couple of years. I don't see that.
Right. Right.
Not by what I've seen the club do with them in the league and the form of the players and what Clay is actually putting in place. I see something totally different, which is very pleasing. And I'm certain that the public's going to be excited because it's not going to be as business as normal. I think it's going to be a lot of difference this year in their approach, and I can see that now.
Well,
You
let's hope that
feeling
let's
like
hope
19? Sorry, Miss Gill.
no, I'm just saying that let's hope that there's, like you say, that the competitiveness, rises, because last couple of years St. George's just have not been there, seemingly not being there, and
Right.
up to the challenge. Because all we want is a good game, and to me, these days it doesn't matter to me who wins, but I want to see the game of cricket win.
So,
Yeah,
so,
we want to see an exciting game.
Mr. Douglas, you're saying you're feeling like 1979?
I'm not saying 1979 because Brutus was my captain, and Mr. Horton was the captain of the other team then, and I'd never forget. I'd never forget. I'm watching toss being spun, and Mr. Horton is tall, strapping, strong, bearded, beer like over you. And Brutus was, he wasn't a tall fella, and he was captain of the league team. And it was like a David and Goliath sitting there ready. Like Mr. Horton was like, hey, who's this fella here? He tried to come over and intimidate him, but Mr. Horton had a very good team at 79, and
Exactly.
they did good. They did excellent, actually. It was a wonderful game, but we were at the short end of the stick. But St. George's, I think, Summers at the time had like 9 guys that had just come off a
Yeah,
tour
yeah, that's
out
right.
of England,
Eight. Yeah, there was 8. The only players who had not gone on the tour was Robert Hines, Clinton Sherlock, and myself. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had a formidable, you had a well-oiled
Oh
team.
yeah, absolutely.
They were primed and pumped. Coming
And
up
also,
against England.
Alan, I think that also that team had, every player on that team could have been a captain. I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah.
and so it was hey, there was no way we could have lost.
No,
So
they
let,
made a
let
big
me let,
difference.
let me ask this question, being as we talked about way back. You talk about a little bit on what's maybe gonna happen. Let's go back to. I'll start with you, Mr. Douglas. Your first. What did you do to make it to Cup Match selection teams?
Well, ironically, I wasn't a big person to go cup match and think a lot about cup match. You got to remember, I'm born and bred in Somerset where you ask Dag Burgess. Dag Burgess will say, he helped make me who I am by Burlington me on Somerset Road, the place called the Alley. So him and the guys like
Rogelli?
Bob, yeah, for Gelly, right? So those guys, we played down there. So playing in Devil's Hill around Somerset Road, uh, the biggest cricket game we wanted to play was Eastern County. So
Hmm.
that's all we talked and thought about. So me going down to try out for Cup Match, it was um I think with McNeil McGowan, that year I had gone up to PhD to go for football, and I didn't know PhD had won much this and that before. They were a formidable team, and I'm up there against Beaver, Boris, and Stanley. I ran up there because they look, you got the skill, go up there and play. So I said, okay. And it was just like the same time for Cup Match. Okay, well, good on St. George's. The same year, 78 was a good year to go down St. George's and try out for Cup Match. And I did. Ironically, the great Dennis Wainwright was my neighbor at Neptune Hill, at in 78. He was my neighbor. He had to pass my house to go to his house. So I'm down there up against Dennis Wainwright. I'm like, well, wow. So I just did what I did. It wasn't like trying to do anything extra. I think I enjoyed the game so much, and I still enjoy everything about the game today. I just went and played, and luck would have it that then we had great visionaries as selectors. I think we had Mr. Custerfield, Packwood, I think his name is Mr. Packwood. We had the guy in Mosh, we used to call him. couldn't remember his real name, from Western Stars, I think. He loved the Arnolds and stuff.
Mhm.
Marsh, and we had Mr. Oliver Casey. He was a legend in his time. Oliver Casey, them guys looked at this team, and like Mr. Horton said, we had a lot of draws coming through. But and they said that we have to rebuild. And so they said, okay, Mr. Wainwright, I know you've done honorable service for St. George's. You've done magnificent. But I think it's time that we started to blood some new talent. And
Mm.
that's when I came in and Arnold Mendes came in and Adrian King came in. And so when we went in as scouts, it gave St. George's another 10, 11 years of service.
Right.
So, and I think they didn't take a chance. They were, what I'd like to see today again? People with that type of vision, selectors at clubs, and I think there are some there, and at national level with a vision for the future. And this is what these guys had. No different than I think the Lodgers trying to get together and bring something, bring this game to the public because they had a vision. These selectors down at St. George's at that time had a clear vision that let's make this team solid for the next 10 possible years. And they did just that.
Mhm.
So, and that's how I got this opportunity. And, for 12 years I played, but about 11 years I played, just skipped 1 year when I went away with one of the youth teams as a coach. So that's what it was like. And to get picked, certainly even to today, is an honor. So when the club picks you, I don't think people should take it lightly. They look at you, they feel that they look at the value that you can bring. You're representing that club, so it's an honor to represent either St. George's or Somerset. So I'm grateful that they had that vision when I came along and they saw something in me. And so being selected and then, getting selected by St. George's, I was the first player in Cleveland ever to get selected for Cup Match, ever to
Is
get
that
selected.
right? Oh, we didn't
Yeah,
realize that, Alan. Yeah.
the very well, come on now, Zord. Nobody looked at them little small clubs back then. Nobody looked at Cleveland down there. Little club down the Devil's Hill down there by Marsdenfield, little field the size of a matchstick. But so that was the greatest honor, I think. One of the greatest honors for me is representing Cleveland and the first person. And what was ironic and what was beautiful that the entire community. I tell the story where anybody could have came in Devil's Hill that day and walked in any house and took anything out, take anything you want and leave because everybody was listening or came up to the game to watch this little fella. I remember Mr. Horton actually stumped you going down the lake side that day,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And I saw so many blue and white flags running on the field, and I'm like, well, this is not Eastern County, this is Cup Match.
Right. Right. Right.
But the supporters of the community was like unbelievable. And so that to me, I think we should. I like to be able to get things like that back. That if
Mhm.
we when youngsters make it, the whole community comes out to support you. Not just the people in St. George's, but the entire community where you come from. Whether you come from St. David's or Bayless Bay, they support you. So that to me was a big treat, big honor. Just looking at pictures the other day, looking at my first cup match, a couple of pictures that was taken of me and some of the Cleveland people, McGowan and the Welling Smith and Cordell Riley and stuff like that. So and my brother Stephen. So it was a great honor.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that same
What
feeling,
was your first year? Was it 78?
78, you didn't
Yeah.
mention, you took it from me. Yeah,
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. That's
yeah,
right. Yeah. 78 was right. That was the year when you had us in trouble as well. That's when Campbell Simons and myself put on
that's
some.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Campbell Simons made a century
He
then.
made a century. That's correct. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm gonna let it out now too, because now remember, cousin famous, listen to this. Now I'm coming along at 78. You don't speak in the changing room. I've got Alden Rayner, Clarence Parfit, Neville Dow. I'm not saying a word. I go in my corner, I unpack my gear, and I do as I'm told. So I'm there, and since I'm always been a student of the game, I'm watching this match and I'm watching Mr. Horton and Mr. Campbell Simon battle on. And I think my good friend, the groundsman, Timmy
Yeah,
Edwards,
yeah, yeah.
but we used to laugh. He was a good friend of mine. And I think there was a little wet patch, Mr. Horton, somewhere there.
Uh-huh.
And I'm looking at Parfit, and I'm like, Parfit, like you're the best in the world. Like you could hit any spot.
Right.
And he couldn't seem to hit that spot during that game.
Right,
You
right.
know, because I felt that if he hit that spot, something would happen, you know. But I
Mhm.
dare not say a word because I dare not say, Robert, what are you doing? No, you don't do that, damn, because you're just coming into this game.
Right.
You've got to listen and you got to learn, you know. But today it's totally different. They're gonna get up and say, "Hey, man, what are you doing? Why are you not touching such?" But it
Yeah.
was that total respect thing, you know, where
And I think you're right. That I mean, that's the thing. And as you mentioned, that is that when you came into the game, man, there was a sense of appreciation for having just made the game, having been
yeah,
selected to play in the game, and you're around all these guys. I mean, Allan, my first cup match, I was 18 when I played for some
wow,
in 1963. I would never forget it, man. And when I went out to bat. The first time I went out to bed ever, I went out, Alan, I went and I took guard. And let me tell you, Dennis Wainwright was behind the stumps and he was saying all kinds of stuff to me. I can't repeat it here. But hey, I was so nervous. It was incredible. I took guard. I took guard. And when I looked up, Kenny Paul was coming in to bowl to me. And it was just a blur. I s-
wow,
I didn't see anything, man. All I did was hear my stumps go down. I was out one ball, and I was the last man out, so everybody was on the field. And man, but you know what, Alan? I said, hey, but I'm going to learn from this. It said if you get knocked down, you got to get up.
got to get back up.
Right,
Now, Kenny Paul, did he look big to you when you first went out there? Because you've always been big, as far as I'm
man.
concerned.
They all look big, Alan. They look every everybody looked twice the size of me. I'm telling you, it was scary. It was so scary.
Yeah,
And then, but fortunately, we went in the and when we went in the field. Hey man, I was able to clean bowl out and ran in my first spell, and I said, hey,
wow,
that made my cup match.
wow, wow,
Yeah,
wow, wow.
yeah.
Yeah, the Cutman produces great memories that are so lasting, like you say, that you clean build him, and I remember my stumping off of you down the leg side,
Oh yes.
um and that was one of the things that Australia, when they came through, saw of me,
Uh-huh.
and they admired that, and that's one of the things that got me down to Australia because of my ability to go down the leg side,
Right.
collect the ball, and affect the stumping. So that was something I think it just came natural that
Yeah.
I was blessed with that talent. So
Yeah.
I got to be thankful for a lot of the things that have happened to me in life, and
Then you have to
thankful for
use it, Alan. You can't just have the talent. You got to use it, and you
well,
and you got to
yeah,
put your mind to it. And that's it.
and you
That's
got to work, and you got to work. I look a lot now. Like again, I go back to what I saw Cleveland when I saw Cleveland play last week, and now you talk to people after the game. There are the talents there. The Bermuda has an abundance of talent in almost any sport, but it's the desire to work hard. And
yeah.
how do you work hard? And I think we don't work as hard today,
Mm.
just because that's what it is. But I think that also the learning today is so much faster,
Yeah.
meaning through
Also, Alan, I
computers.
think too, the other thing is that the technology has improved. So,
Yep,
in terms of the equipment, the quality of the equipment
yep,
that you use to play, the technology in terms of being able to prepare yourself
yep,
physically and mentally. All
yep,
of those things have improved so much. So if a player is really digs in and really wants to do well, I mean, Alan, I'd love to have had the opportunities that some of these kids have today in terms of, the quality of the equipment, the information that's passed on to you as a result of coaches looking at you, watching you, you
yep.
know, just
But
analyze. each over that you bowl and so on. I mean, it's today
Well,
that
it's
it allows people to understand so much clearly.
yeah.
How to improve themselves.
Well, it's a two-edged sword, isn't it? Back in the day, I if I saw you come to the wicket, I had to start studying you. And I remember Seth Brown used to help me with this a lot. By the
Mm,
way you walk to the wicket,
yeah,
the way you held the bat, the
mm,
minute you took your guard and what guard you took, you know, where your feet were and which way where your feet pointed. All those were indicators that we had to look for
right.
uh, before, but now you got it all on TV. I
That's
mean,
right.
this young guy was down the field down Cleveland training this week, and it's a funny little fella, Greaves, young Greaves, I call him,
Uh-huh.
and he was reserved on Saturday, but he was on the field Tuesday training. So he's bowling left arm orthodox, and so I was watching him, and I just talked to him a little bit, and he tried it. And so today, what I did, I just went on my phone. I
Uh-huh.
got a couple of YouTube clips of this Indian player, Jadeja,
Yes.
and sent it to him. And
Yes.
I said, just look for three things. And that was easy for me to coach. And that's the extent of how you can coach today. So
Today,
that
that's
when I
right.
need
That's
him
right.
over the field, we're good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We just didn't have that in the
No,
day
we didn't have that.
that I was playing. Yeah. No. And
My son teases me. He says, Daddy, you're not on video.
yeah. Yeah. No. Every move is captured these days. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let me thank you for that this history lessons. Let's we just want to give a shout out to the gentleman from this place called Georges Bay Drive, Mr. Reginald Perman. Shout out to
Oh
Mr. and
yeah. Yeah.
Mrs. Reginald Perman.
Oh yeah, Mr. Pyramid.
He said, "Great show, gentlemen. It's the 45th year of that famous victory of 1979.
Right.
Results since then: Somerset Cricket Club 12, St. George's Cricket Club 8, draws 24. No match in 2020 due to COVID." So shout out to Mr. Perman, who's an excellent scorekeeper. Bermuda Cricket Board, one of the greatest. And I
Yeah.
just I just
Also,
want to say hello
Somerset,
to him.
Somerset president.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying not to put in this biasness, but
Hey, and don't forget one of the best managers you have want to have on tour. And Horton's been a couple of times on management and tour. But ironically, I'm just getting ready to put the program together for the next 2 years and how Bermuda's going to qualify for the next T20. And
Uh-huh.
looking at management, we're seriously looking at management and
Yeah.
what's the requirement of management managers today. And
That's
Mr.
important.
Pearman's style of management came across my head.
Yeah, what was it, 95, right? 95. We
In
went
in
down
in,
to
in
uh,
Jamaica,
shout, that's right, to the and that's when Clay made two
that's
sets
right.
against the fastest bowlers in the
Yeah,
world.
exactly. And he's a
Oh,
player. That's why I think this year, with Clay's ability as a batsman, with his fight as a leader, I
mm,
see St. George's batting has come leaps and bounds this year.
yeah.
That's why I do believe there's going to be a big difference because I've seen what Clay has done personally, and I've seen what he's done with the team this year.
Oh,
You
yeah,
see?
Clay I think they've got a good leader in Clay, man. And I'll tell you
Yeah.
that when we went on that year, '95, when we went on and he was batting against Franklin Rose and
Yep. Yep.
Patterson,
Yep.
and the other guy from the Leeward Islands. I remember his name right
Hey,
now,
hey,
but it was
Mr.
some of the
Famous and Mr. Famous and Reggie Pearman listening. So there was a presentation, right? Now there's the manager there, Mr. Horton, right? So there was a presentation. So I didn't see Mr. Horton anywhere. Herbie Bascom teases me till today, right? So Mr. Horton, I must have got up to do something as either one of the leaders, coaches, or something of the team. And Mr. Horton said, "Sit down. One piece of brass in this house."
stuff, Alan. Alan.
Herbie, Herbie teases me to today about that. There's only one piece of brass here. But
that was a fun tour, though. That was yeah, I really enjoyed that, man.
yep. But you see, again, that's the type of leadership I think we still need.
Yeah,
Someone that's fierce, someone that's ruthless, someone that says, "No, hey, I'm in charge here, and I'm gonna run this the way it should be run."
right,
That's
right.
what I would say candidly.
Hmm.
We don't have that at the moment, but we're
And
training
they all,
people
you know,
up.
the guys on that tour, they all called me manage.
That's right.
When she
That's
heard
right.
me, she was manage.
You still coach and manage, right?
Yeah.
So
But you made
let me
sure
ask.
people,
Sorry, go ahead,
but-
Mr.
but you made sure also people called you, because Herbie and Daxter will still call me today, coach.
Right,
You made
right,
sure that you
exactly.
respected people's position. You
That's
didn't
right.
call me Dougie. They
That's right.
called me coach. They
That,
called you manage.
that's right.
Again, those are the things that are important that we cannot lose
Hmm.
in this great game of cricket, whether it's cup match, club, or anywhere else.
I mean, that's the important thread that has to go through, man. Hey, discipline, respect.
But there
So
was a code. There was
we,
like a hidden code too.
we
Um,
have
when you play cup
another
match, you could not act up. No way,
Right. You know,
ever. You had
uh-uh.
to be an upstanding citizen. And I know of stories where certain people were not selected
Uh-huh.
because people thought they were not of a certain standard. I
Right.
I thank God I grew up in Sunday school and church, so I was automatically good boy, you know.
we have a comment in from Mr. John Thomas, who says commentators need to study the history of the game to keep the interest as cup matches more than just a game of cricket, which I think speaks to your opening remarks, Mr. Douglas, when it's like you would like to know more about the involvement of the lodges or get the lodges involved. So
Yeah,
while
exactly.
you are talking about the game, you are imparting that history because let's think of how society is now. Not everyone is just say cricket wise. They go for the fun, they go for the rivalry, they go for whatever they go for, right? And
Mhm.
it's important to, as they're watching the game or hearing the game, to inject, as Mr. Thomas says, inject that history in them because that's where we're lacking as a country, not just the discipline. We are lacking in discipline, but we are lacking in history of who we are as a people. And so I thank Mr. Thomas for that comment, and
Yeah,
for yourself and those who will be the voice of summer, to
mhm.
inject that history during the course of the game, so we can
I
we can
will.
use cup match to not just brag about who won, but everybody walks away knowing more about our history as Bermudians. No
Right.
Yeah,
matter
and I think I have
That's
a good
good.
point.
no matter who got the cup, like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll
And
make sure I
Alan
research that
said,
too.
and I think it's good. Alan has said, what he plans to do, and I think they got the right person there. Um, I'm sorry, I don't have the energy to be able to come help you out, Alan.
Hey,
Well,
you do get tired. Oh my goodness, you get tired. End of the day, I'm burnt out, but I
Right.
enjoy the lead up because I enjoy to research. Like I research so much different things, and now I'm so glad that you I've been invited here, and I'm listening to you, Mr. Horton, and I didn't know about no Market Square. Now I want to know exactly where Market Square is in St. George's. Is
Yeah.
it the main square? So I
Yeah.
will research those things so I can tell the story.
Yeah. Yeah.
we have a comment from someone that I don't know, somebody here may know her. Miss Allen Kate Horton says at 7 p.m. tonight, the history will be discussed at Somerset Cricket Club. Now, I'm gonna take liberty here with my former teachers and say which history is gonna be discussed. Is it gonna be cup match history, or is it gonna be Somerset's version of cup match history?
Hey, I tell you what history I do know is that if I don't see Ellen Kate Horton there with that hat on, then something's going to be missing. She has to wear that hat. When I see that hat, I know it's cut match time.
I used to wear that hat. I used to wear that hat when I was the captain.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So is
let,
that
let
a
me
family something to do with family passed down or what?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's who I got it from. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so that would that be the hat you were wearing when they lifted you up in 1979?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
got we got a comment that says "Lo, Randy's LOL, Randy's first hat."
Yeah.
That's your good luck charm. So
Yeah.
It must be.
let me ask this question, and I truly appreciate both of you living legends coming and spending some time with the people of Bermuda. We often hear as whatever is in society, we hear back in the day this, we wouldn't have did that, we would have did the other. We have to talk about where we are now. So my question that I will put on the floor, that open the floor for debate for the next 5, 10 minutes, is what can we do collectively as a country, whether it be the government, civic organizations, those who are in media, and especially those who have a vested interest in the game itself. What can we do to progress cup match as a whole, not just the game itself, not just who wins, but what can we do to progress um, cup match as a whole? So I will remember with the red and blue, you have the floor.
Well, I think I think first and foremost, when we look at cricket, period. I think one of the things that has to happen, I think, is that cricket's got to get back into schools. Uh, Alan, I don't know. I mean, you're very close. You're on the
Yeah.
board and very close, and I just don't think that enough cricket is. I don't know whether any cricket at all is played in the schools.
Yeah,
Uh,
it is, but we don't have enough. We certainly,
right.
it is, we don't have enough, and the board is actively, we've got Courtney Trot now that does a lot of work for the board since he left the corporation. So he does go into the schools. We
Yes.
just need to now hone in a solid program saying that you're at this school this day and the next school the next day. So we're going to finalize that. But I think also we need to capitalize on the fact that school goes in September, and I've been told by a lot of the teachers that that is the time we can try September to October to drill cricket in there. We normally leave it for just before summer starts, but that's a difficult time with track and also exam. So we need to do September, October. So I'm thinking also of trying to get a little competition going between a couple of schools. I know last year we had Cedar Bridge play Saltus, and they must have played a series of 5 matches, which was
Mhm.
fantastic.
I think
So
that's
it is happening, but not fast enough.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, because for me, I mean that's if you're playing it in school, then it's important. It becomes important, and kids begin to see it as something important if it's taking place, in the schools. And I think that you know um, for whatever reason, the emphasis was just removed from playing cricket and getting all the boys and girls now
Mm.
involved in playing.
But what you've touched on is, I mean, so I'm glad I'm here because because where I sit on the board and what I do for my involvement in cricket, I'm able to push a lot of ideas through. And now, as you're speaking, I know we have a coach coming in September,
Hmm.
August actually, and he's here until October.
Right.
So school's going to be going in. So again, I can have a program where he's into our school for a
Hmm.
little bit during that time. So I can make that happen. So again, as our minds tick over and we're sharing ideas, I'm getting things that I can certainly help with.
That's great. That's great, Alan. Yeah.
But one of the things I'd like to see, I know clubs struggle, and cousin famous clubs struggle financially. And as we talked about it being year and about, I think that was to help them financially. What I would like to see, and I know government helps to fund COPMAC, but I don't think we should just fund them to fund them sake. A lot of times there could be things like other things given, like cash in kind. Mean, make sure that our finances are right. Make sure that we are managing certain things at the clubs properly. Now, because I do grounds as well, I know that we struggle with rollers and equipment. But more than that, we struggle with maintaining them. So again, I think we have to help the clubs in not just buying these things for them, because I don't think we should do that. Just
Mm.
give them the money, say go get A, B, and C. But we should help educate them enough so that they know how they have a system in place to maintain this, or so that when COPMEC comes back to St. George's next year, we're not scrambling to try to fix the bathrooms or fix the
Next week,
field
next week.
or
Oh,
something like
oh,
that. So I
yeah.
do think that we should look at the government helping clubs in that way if if they need it now. I think they do need it, because it's always hard to find people to work in the club, the secretary, treasurers, and things like that. You know, the club life is hard life. So if the government can be able to help give expertise in other areas, I think it could help propel these clubs to another level of management. I mean, one of the things you hear all the time is the scaffolding, and I'd really love to hear from the clubs and how that is managed. You know, how much you, not necessarily how much you pay for it, but like how do you manage that huge feat of putting up the scaffolding and getting the scaffolding done, and what happens to the plywood, and what happens to the materials, and how can we minimize the cost of putting up that scaffolding from year to year? Because then that would give a bit more dollars to the clubs. And I don't know the insides, but I would love to see uh, ideas or some help going to the clubs to minimize some of the cost of putting on this cup match.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. We got about 9, 10 minutes left, and I wanted to again, because this was originally was supposed to be a radio program, but we said okay, we'll make it online so we could reach out to further. So I just want to give a shout out to persons down in tuning in from across the Caribbean region, and especially Cayman Islands through Cayman Mall Road, which is the #1 news site. We have other media partners in Turks and Caicos, Radio Turks and Caicos, CBC in Barbados. We also have CBN in the Virgin Islands and Radio Montserrat, which is obviously in Montserrat. So all of these, if it's not being broadcast live, it would the replay will be broadcast via those channels. So I just want to
You got
thank them
nothing down to
because
get the
I,
news,
I,
brother?
I'd like to just give a shout out to all those folks down in the Caribbean too, particularly the many friends that I have down there in cricket. Good cricket down through there. And of course in Cayman as well. Lots of friends I have down that way.
yeah. Yeah, I had the privilege of going to Cayman Islands, and they did always mention when I speak to the older Caymanians. Matter of fact, last year I was in Guyana. Earlier this year I was in Guyana, and
Yeah.
I met Sir Clive Lloyd,
Oh
and
yes, right.
the first Bermudian he asked for was like, so tell me, how is my friend? I said, which friend? You gotta narrow it down. You know, the one he played football and cricket. And I was like, oh, you mean Speaker Horton? You say, yeah. And I was able to, through technology, be able to call Mr. Horton at the time, late at night.
That's right. Yeah.
I figure for something like that, I wouldn't get wrapped on
Yeah.
the locker for calling him. So you could speak to Sir Clive Lloyd.
I would have taken that call anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, he mentioned something. He said he was supposed to come Bermuda to work for Bacardi, but he
Yeah.
turned it down. And
Yeah.
so with let's in the last 5 minutes, let's throw the congeniality out with the beer. Any predictions for this year, Mr. Horton? Beyond the fact you just want to see a good game?
I just want to see a great game. And unfortunately, I haven't watched too much cricket, so it would be improper for me to say who I think is going to win. But of course, as I read about what's happening, I certainly know that Somerset have a good team, and I also know that St. George's have made significant improvements. And so that means, that means that hopefully we'll have a great game. And all I ask the players is that when you go out there, people come to watch you play, give
Yeah,
outstanding professional effort,
yeah.
and so people can leave happy about what they've seen.
Mhm. All right, over to you, Sir Douglas.
Well,
Any predictions?
I'm looking purely as a cricketing point of view, not because I played for St. George's, but purely cricketing. St. George's are on top of the league this year and been batting well. So I do believe and know that they will bat well. Now, you got to understand, in the league, it's been a white ball. Cup match is going to be a red ball. It moves a bit more. But I do think that they have the arsenal and they've been drilled enough by Clay that I do believe that they will make sufficient runs. I don't think you'll blow St. George's out twice. My only little challenge, and I'm throwing this to them now, is that we have to get enough bowlers that are going to bowl Somerset out twice. Now, I think that can happen because I think some Somerset are in transition right now. The captain's not going to be there this year. I'm not sure my nephew Chris is going to be available to open. Um, there's one or two little changes I could see happening, maybe one. So if there's going to be like three changes in Somerset, that's going to be huge. And remember, you got a new captain. So it's going to be huge in Somerset because they've normally been going with one change, excuse me, two changes at the most. But Somerset don't change a whole lot, which is out their stability over the years. But they're going to make, I think, predict about three changes. And three changes might just give St. George's the opportunity to sneak through and grab that trophy.
I think Alan, though, and absolutely what you say makes absolute sense. And I think though the Somerset, with their new captain is really a man who's captain in cup match before because when the captain has been sick a couple of times,
Mhm.
he stepped in and done a great job. So I think he's has great respect up there in Somerset, and hey, I'm looking forward to a good one. And let's see some great cricket.
Yeah.
So let me throw my non-cricketing self in here just for a minute, right? Now, I was just doing some stats about when I looked at the on the Saturday before you have the team selections, right?
Mhm.
When I looked at St. George's team, I was like family, 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 not family, family, family. Okay, fine, usual. Um, Then I looked at Somerset selection. And I was like, he's from the east. He's from the east. He's from the east. He's from the east. I kept going. I was trying to get to some actual Western players, and was so I'm asking what I'm asking as a non-cricketer, but just an observer. How is it that when you're looking at the teams, it's both Eastern teams
But let
with
me tell you,
maybe
Somerset
some Western guest players?
like, cup match. Cup match is a game that has the best players in Bermuda
Yeah.
playing, and so that's what it is.
So
And no
so
longer
so,
no
so
longer do you have to come from Somerset in order to play for Somerset.
Yeah.
point of clarification, Mr. Speaker.
Yes,
You say, and I quote, "Cup match is a team about the best players," correct?
yes, yes,
So if all of St. George's team is Eastern players and
yes.
half of Somerset's team is Eastern players, would that now say? I'm just saying that three quarters of the best players come from the East.
Uh, well, I guess if you only look at that if you only put that in the pot, yes, you would be right.
Okay, all right.
But I
So
think, listen, I think the trump card for St. George's this year is going to be a player right out of the heart of Somerset, the young left arm spinner Fubler.
Alan, I saw the Fubler. I said, the only Fublers I know that play cricket are the Villicots boys.
And he's from Villacuts, and
He,
he's a
he, he plays
fantastic player.
he plays for Villicots.
No, well, okay, so he's on loan to St. George's this year. He's a Villacuts player, but he's on loan to St. George's. And I'm telling you, I've always admired that little fella. Man,
Yeah.
he ran in Bill medium, whether he bats or bowls or fields. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that St. George's take the left arm spinner that takes the ball away from the right hander. This is going to be exciting.
Yeah. So is that Rod? Is he Rodney's? Rodney's obviously related to Rodney.
Well,
Right?
I think it's his nephew.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to, we know everybody up there is related.
That's
We know
his.
everybody up there is related. Well, I want to, we're now up on 1 hour, and I just want to again thank the two of you, and I would like to invite you to make this not only our annual cup match talk, because last year I had the privilege of having Mr. Horton on, and my St. George's people was like, "So what? Yeah, how you and you have a conversation that you ain't got nobody from." So I just want to invite the two of you to say set your calendar every Thursday. Well, the Thursday before cup match, we have this conversation.
Okay.
All right. No
And,
problem.
and we could compare and contrast predictions from the prior year.
No problem.
All right.
And I'm gonna push the envelope even more and invite Mr. Douglas, who's playing in the Eastern Conference 2 weeks after cup match.
It will be St. David trying to wrestle the cup from Bayless Bay.
Davidson Bay, right?
Yeah,
St.
St.
David-
Davidson Bay.
Davidson
So
Bay.
I think it's worthy of having another conversation, because for people down the extreme east, that's more important than cup match to them.
Yeah, it is.
So thank you to all
Right.
Okay.
all
No
who
problem.
tuned
See you,
in.
Allan.
Okay, Mr. Horton.
Great
All right.
to see you,
Bye.
man.
Miss Horton, Mr. Perriman, John Thomas, Rosalind Famous, all the way from Puerto Rico tuning in, and Mr. Paul Deal, all the way from Mary Victoria Road in Devonshire, tuning in. He said hello, Mr. Honorable Horton. Mr. Allan Douglas wasn't on at the time. But thank you all for tuning in, for not just, Victoria Millet, she's all the way from St. David's, but she's for St. George's. That's another conversation in itself, why some St. David's people don't support St. George's. That's a conversation we must have.
That's a whole new conversation.
Yes. All right. Well, tuning in.
All right, thank you. All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Have a great evening, everyone.
All right.
All right. Have a safe holiday, most of all.
Thank you.
Your house is now adjourned.